Привіт! So greetings from Lviv in Ukraine. Got the University of Lviv just behind me there. So I want to make this quick guide interview for those of you who are following me and might be considering coming here to Ukraine. It's the first time I've been back in Ukraine for a few months. And if you're coming from a country like, say, United States, United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, European Union country, United Kingdom, country that's allied with Ukraine, you probably have, well, you will almost certainly have 90 days visa free. When you're at the border, you will not be able to fly into Ukraine. You're probably aware of that. And you need to show your passport. Just make sure you have enough validity on your passport. It should be at least 90 days beyond the amount of time you want to spend in Ukraine. But rule of thumb is at least 3 months. That's because you have the 90 days visa free every 180. So they want to make sure that you can stay for that number of days. You can take the bus, the train across, and then it should be hopefully a rather quick passage through the border. You don't need anything else on you necessarily to be able to enter Ukraine, and then you come here. Most people are probably going to enter first to Lviv because it is up near the border with Poland, and other places you might consider across might be Suceava in Romania into a town called Chernovtsi in Ukraine, just near to that border, or maybe you're flying to Chisinau, Moldova, and then going down to Odessa, or maybe you're coming from Budapest in Hungary, which probably would mean you go to Uzhhorod or to Mukacheva in the very west of Ukraine. So I'm here in Lviv. It is the 23rd of April, and it's around 6:30 p.m. and you can see probably people walking around behind me. It's pretty calm, the vibe here. So Ukraine is a country of contrast in the sense that there is the scene for the biggest war in Europe since World War II. There's probably, in terms of missing in action, wounded in action, killed in action, or civilian deaths and serious injuries, probably over 1 million people if we combine the combatants and the civilians in this war. However, Ukraine is a very big country. It's the biggest country completely in Europe geographically, and you can be very far away from the fighting, like here in Lviv, and with reasonable air defense, it is obviously not as safe as being in London or Paris or Italy in terms of being hit by a rocket or some sort of terrorist attack. However, it is not exceedingly dangerous to be here. Actually, since I arrived on, would have been the Sunday morning, Easter Sunday morning here, we've not actually even had a air alert, which is rather surprising. However, that can change in an instant. There might be one in the next few minutes just after I finish this video, or even beforehand, and then a rocket may strike. So it can be very random, it can be very sudden, there's no real warning, so you have to obviously be okay with that level of terrorist threat if you come to Ukraine. And of course, fingers crossed, if you do decide to come, all is good with your own personal safety. So in a city like here in Lviv, it has been relatively quiet. Families are out, young people are out, the university is there behind me. There are even, I see international students who come and study from abroad in Ukraine, obviously not in cities close to the front line. So if you're probably going to go to somewhere like Kyiv, the capital Odessa, or here in Lviv, most people. So I would say that the risk level is not the highest within the country. It would be even higher if you went to, say, like Kharkiv, or to say Dnipro, or to Zaporizhia, or Mykolaiv, where there is not so far from the front line, and you have less warning in terms of when there's a rocket or a kamikaze drone attack, and the air defense is possibly not as strong as it's going to be in Kyiv, Odessa, or in Lviv. Going to places like Kherson without having a particular reason, that has been, either you're delivering humanitarian aid or you're helping the armed forces of Ukraine, it's not advised going to, say, Kherson or a city close to the front line, because there would be extremely dangerous, would be no warning basically if you were to be in a location where it was attacked by rocket or a drone or something like that. So bear that in mind where you're going, the risk level, and know where to go. If you want to go and seek shelter, most hotels are going to have a basement of some sort or an underground car park, or you can check for the nearest air raid shelter that you can go to. It's a personal decision on each alarm whether you decide to do that or not. and there are plenty of apps and Telegram groups that will explain almost immediately what an air alert is about and whether, what is the actual risk. And, well, maybe not assess the risk, but tell you exactly what's going on. Is it a rocket, or is it just that a Russian bomber has actually been deployed somewhere over Russia, so they expect that something might happen very soon. So in terms of the more practicalities of day-to-day life, your cards should work, your foreign cards shouldn't have too many problems. It's very rare that that's an issue here. Banks are open, the ATMs work, electricity works, internet works pretty well in the cities, maybe a little less well outside the cities than, say, before the invasion of 2022, and cell phone works. This may have some outages at different times if Russia starts to strike the energy infrastructure, and that could be a localized problem. However, overall, most things work. You just have curfew from midnight until 5 a.m. in most of Ukraine. Uzhhorod and Zakarpatskaya Oblast are the exception because there's no curfew there, although Uzhhorod is a pretty small city of 100,000 people. I have a vlog about that region, which I shot back in September. It was my birthday. I spent it there. I'll link that down below in the description to this video. Also down there in the description to the video is my guide for coming to Ukraine, where I go in more depth about the logistics and how to stay safe. And you get my hospitality guide if you are going to come here for the best cafes, bars, restaurants, shisha lounges, and even clubs. Although there's not that much clubbing going on, understandably, at the moment. For cities like Uzhhorod, Chernovtsi, Lviv, Odessa, and Kyiv. You can buy that down below if you are so inclined to help support this content and the channel. And other than that, as a quick update, yeah, life goes on. Ukrainians are resilient. They've adapted to this war situation. Obviously, we've had it since 2014 to a certain extent. However, affecting a city like Lviv or Odessa directly, it has been since the February 24th, 2022 Russian invasion, the extended invasion. And yeah, we can strike at any time in a city like this. However, as you can see probably behind me with people walking around, it is become the situation normal, which is tragic in its own way, but it shows the resilience of the Ukrainian people. I do encourage you to come here if you want to show support, and that can be moral support, documented, keep Ukraine and Ukrainian resistance in the minds of your friends and family back home, your social circle. You don't have to be a huge influence, you don't have to have a YouTube channel like I do. For example, you can be doing just to show people who you're close to and keep it relevant to them, that they see what is going on here. Because Ukraine's fight for its independence, its continuing independence from Moscow, is vital to the security on the rest of the continent of Europe, that the Kremlin is stopped here in Ukraine and eventually forced to leave and go back to its de jure internationally recognized borders. If you are obviously going to go above and beyond that and help with the humanitarian effort or the military defense of the country, even better. So best of luck if you are coming to Ukraine. You will have a very interesting experience. I think it is something that, if you are curious about geopolitics, like I obviously discuss on my channel, this is a place to come and visit in spite of the increased dangers right now, because you will learn a lot from it. You'll be able to see with your own eyes what is really going on here to a certain extent, and it will give you a broader and better perspective on the Russo-Ukrainian war. So I'm going to leave it like that. Drop your questions and your comments down below. I did intend to film, as was suggested in from my live stream on Sunday, at the Field of Mars, which is up by the main cemetery here, about 30 minutes walk from the center. However, it was quite a poignant place, and there were a lot of bereaved family members, people who were there attending to the graves behind me. Well, it would have been in front of me at the time, but if I'd been filming, it would have been behind me, and I didn't feel that was appropriate also because I would be talking quite loudly, and it was quite a peaceful place there. That is where they have moved, or they have been laying the graves of the Ukrainians who have died as part of the Ukrainian Armed Forces. There they have, mainly since the extended invasion of 2022, they also have a separate section in the Great Cemetery itself, which is mainly Ukrainian soldiers who have died from 2014 to 2022, although I did see there were a few from the very beginning of the extended invasion, 2020 invasion, also there. So thank you for that suggestion. If you have more suggestions, drop them down below. I will take them into account. This one I didn't think was the best thing to do, but I did go out there and I did film a little bit so that I have that at least recorded and I can put it in maybe future videos and use that content. So it was definitely, and it was an important place to go out to that I definitely encourage you if you are coming here to Lviv in the context of the Russo-Ukrainian war. So I'm going to leave it at that. Slava Ukraini, do перемоги.